Hey besties, we all know about the outrage on social media about the dependence of international students being banned from the UK from January 2024, and of course everyone focused on that. People neglected the other parts of the policies that would be in place in January 2024. Now this video is going to address those other parts, and of course we would be analyzing it. I already dropped a video on my 2 cents about this frenzy about content creators being the cause of the ban, and of course I've gotten lots of comments as expected. There were 3 policies that the UK government would be introducing, and that's what this video would talk about. Now of course the first one is what we already know, that dependents are no longer allowed to be in the UK from January 2024. This does not apply to students on postgraduate research routes, because the main goal of the ban is for them to prevent people using student visas as backdoor routes for them to work in the UK. So that's that. Now I tried to check out what these postgraduate research routes. By the way, each time I want to pronounce this word, I keep asking myself, is it route or route? But of course both are correct, so in case I use them interchangeably, just get the point. So now I kept asking what this postgraduate research route would be, and from what I checked, it includes either a research-based master's or PhD. So I think the clearer definition is just like PhD, and that is the only exception to the rule. Now of course we know that this issue does not affect single people, so if you are single there is no issue. If you are single with a child, of course you can't come in because your child is a dependent. If you plan to come to the UK, please make sure from now till December you are in the UK, because those people that plan on coming in January, you would not be allowed to come in with your dependent. Now the second policy that was implemented is that to prevent misuse of the visa system, international students would not be allowed to switch from student visa route into work route until their studies have been completed. Backstory: we know that once you come in, you are coming in as a student under the tier 4 visa, but to elongate your stay, you can either apply for the 2 years post-study visa or the work visa. Something that some people do is that when they come in, immediately they just start looking for tier 2 jobs, that is jobs with work visa, and the ideal thing should be that after their studies they would convert to work visa. But obviously some people don't do that. Once they come in as students, they are looking for jobs. Immediately they get a job that will guarantee them their tier 2 visa, they will not finish their studies. They will just go from there, abandon their studies and start working immediately. So I totally understand the point of the British government, because of course these universities would have sponsored you to come in as a student, and most times when you've gotten your tier 2 visa, you don't even see the need to pay their tuition fee because you've gotten what you need, and you end up not graduating because you actually have a job, and supposedly you don't need your certificate if you could get a job even without it. So of course it is understandable. The only thing is that it may make it quite difficult for a lot of people to get their work visas when they graduate from their studies. So my advice would be, if you are on your student visa, whilst you are on your student visa, you can still apply for a work visa, but you have to make it clear that you are going to be resuming the work when you are done with your studies. If not, you will not be allowed to switch. So what the UK government wants is that when you're done with your studies, you would totally complete it. Then when you've completed it, you would now be applying for the work visa. And of course all these rules will not start until January 2024. But still, what do you think about this particular rule? Because it is one that I actually understand. You came here for your masters, just finish your masters, close your eyes and finish it, then you move on. Now the third rule is that the government will also review the funds students must have to demonstrate they can look after themselves and their dependents in the UK, as well as clamp down on scrupulous international student agents who may be supporting inappropriate applications. Now, this is quite a hard one because the first part referred to proof of funds. If you don't know, proof of funds is the particular money you have to prove that you are eligible to come in here to study. And although this policy did not specifically talk about what this review would entail, we can guess that because they are trying to cut down on migration, they are most likely trying to increase the proof of funds. And I don't really like this particular policy because it makes it very hard for people. The UK is already highly capital intensive. Like, if you don't have money, you can't even come to the UK unless you're on scholarship. Now, the proof of funds alone is a lot already. Now, for them to think of reviewing it, I hope it's not what I'm thinking, because if it is, then it's going to make it even harder for international students to come in, and I really don't like that part. Then the second part, I talked about them clamping down unscrupulous international student agents who may be supporting inappropriate applications. I guess this part may be all these people that will just tell you, maybe give me money, let me relocate you to the UK. And of course, their focus is not on education, it's just to Japa. And although I don't know what they mean by unscrupulous agents, I can understand the point they're trying to make. Now, finally, there was a proposal that thankfully was rejected. Currently, when you want to apply for like the work visa, you have to show that the job you'll be getting would pay you at least £26,000 annually. Now, the proposal was that should be increased to £33,000 annually, which thankfully it was rejected because that would have been very hard for international students. They forget that as an international student, it is harder to get permanent jobs because your employer would have to sponsor you, and not everyone is lucky enough to get a job that would pay them as high as 33k per year. For instance, I've checked out some social work roles for people that just graduated, and there are some that are less than 33k, let alone people that maybe get work visa through healthcare agencies. Like, how many of them pay that high? So it's a good one that proposal was clamped down because it was not going to be a reasonable proposal. Now, I would like to say that when we are analyzing these things, let's not be emotional. I understand that it can be easy to be emotional because, of course, this thing affects us. This thing affects me. Being an international student myself, I understand the plight of my people. I know how hard it is to raise lots of money and now be denied entry because of you have dependents. And the funny thing is, it was quite a harsh policy, especially the outright ban of dependents. It is hard. It's like you're separating families from themselves, or you're telling them, you know what, if you cannot cope with that, go elsewhere. So I understand that emotions are high, but it may be helpful to actually be analytic and realistic about these things. The earlier we realize that the UK government will be after their own interests, the better for us. These people are like businessmen, and when they've talked about the fact that, okay, this business is not commensurate to what they want, they stop it. And that's the thing. I remember when Brexit happened, the UK government, they were short on manpower and they kept recruiting professionals from everywhere. That time, see doctors, tech bros and sisters from Nigeria and other parts of the world. They were all being recruited in the UK, sharp. But right now, it seems like the UK government has benefited from it. And at this point, they just feel if they keep getting more and more people, it's going to affect them. So as sad as we are about it, let's realize that, see, these people are after their interests. So it's our job to look out for our own interests. And when you see maybe YouTubers or content creators that are creating information for you to relocate either to the UK or to other countries, I don't think it's even nice to be bashing them, because let me tell you something, it's not even because I am creating content, but because, do you know that it is easier to create content like a day in my life where I'm just showing you my life, full stop, than information, especially those ones that are actually doing a good job. For any video you see, a lot of research would have been made on it. The most important thing now is what next, By the way, this is not the first time they will change their policies. Of course, this is the first time they are actually banning dependents, but they've changed policies before in 2012. They keep changing policies, and that is how it is. It is unfortunate that we are in this situation where we have to rely on the economy of another country just because we need that better lifestyle, better economy. But at the end of the day, we have to even blame our leaders, because it's because of our leaders that when we japa, it's like a thing of joy. Ordinarily, leaving your country to another country, what is the congratulations about? But because our country is the way it is, we want to japa. And if this other country decides to change their policies, it just is what it is, as sad as it is.
Do you want to come to Nigeria? Do you want to relocate to Nigeria? Have you been applying for visas and got denied? Worry no more. Just come. This time around, just come. Just come.
So besties, that's it about this video, and I think this will be a wrap on this UK content, because I'm going to be doing a series on Form A, which is an information I feel you should know at this point. So thank you so much for sticking around with me. If you are watching me for the first time, my name is Ada, and I'm also known as Thelegalpepper. I release videos Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays by 5 p.m. and I'm going to be seeing you in my next one. Bye guys!